Yo, what's going on, guys? CO88 MSPY here, and welcome back. I shouldn't even say welcome back. Welcome to a new live stream series here on Madden 22, not Madden 21, Madden 22, where we will be doing a New York Jets franchise for this entire Madden 22 time. Hopefully I stick with the Jets. Hopefully I don't die in the series like I have in the past. I really want the series to go well because it is Madden 22. It is a new game, and I am going to be taking my time with this series. I'm not just going to be half-assing it like I have in the past. Basically, we'll be going through in this episode. It's just an introduction episode. We'll get used to the team. We'll get used to the new settings and explain what this series is going to be about. So once we get to preseason, I'll explain the preseason. Once we get into the roster, I'll explain the roster and everything such as that. So yes, let's hop into it. Here's just the league settings. It doesn't really matter. I do have superstar abilities off, as well as trade deadline obviously on. Coach firing is on, so if we do bad, head coach is Lamar Deacon. You can see that in top right corner. I didn't want to do Robert Saleh. I like creating my own head coach. So that's why. Patch class ceiling will be on. Practice injury is a new feature that Madden 22 has added into the game. So that is on. And I think everything else is basically normal except for quarter length. Right now it's 10 minutes depending on what depending on what slider set I use, will determine the quarter length. Everything else right now is manual except for practice reps, so that will be auto. And then tutorials are obviously off. Everything else is off. The password doesn't matter because it is a private league with maximum users being 1. So that doesn't matter to me if that is on this live stream series or not. So basically what this live stream series is we'll be going through a bunch of games, a bunch of everything, you know what I mean, just having some fun on here and getting through the season. Now, I do want each live stream to be one series, however, the preseason will be in one large live stream. Let's take a look, speaking of preseason, let's take a look here at the team schedule, and we'll take a look at all of the new screens, all the new features, and things like that. So here in the preseason, we will be traveling, but staying home against the New York Giants. Obviously, we are the away game. However, both teams play at MetLife Stadium. So that's the easiest way to explain it. In real life, the Jets beat the Giants 12-7 in this game. The game was on a Saturday. It was not on a Thursday. It was on a Saturday. But the Jets beat the Giants 12-7 in that. I am a Giants fan, so I was depressed. But luckily, it's only preseason. Clayton Thorson is awful. Let's move on. We also play the Packers, and then to round out the preseason, we have our first official home game at MetLife Stadium of the 2021 season, or preseason, I should say, against the Eagles. Anyway, we will open up on the road against the Carolina Panthers. If you remember who the Carolina Panthers QB it was, former New York Jets QB, Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold gets his revenge game, not at MetLife Stadium, but instead just against the Jets. Hopefully we can shut him down. I'm not too worried about Sam Darnold. I mean, he's still Sam Darnold, just in a new uniform. Next, we are home against the Patriots. So the Patriots come into towns week 2 and 7, as we'll see that later. And maybe starting this game could be Mac Jones, could be Cam Newton. Depends who New England wants to roll out. Then we travel to Denver, home there against the Titans. Then we travel over the pond, Lele, to take on the Atlanta Falcons. Now, there is technically an away game. However, both teams are away. Let's be real. The game's being played in London. At least I think it's being played in London. I don't know if Madden's going to not do that or not. Should be played in London, if I'm correct. Then we have our bye week. Then we're 1 o'clock in Foxborough. Joe Burrow also comes to town the next week. Colts, Thursday Night Football. We travel to Indianapolis. Who knows who's going to be the QB at this time? I mean, Carson Wentz probably has a broken foot at some point during the season like he always does. So that doesn't even matter. We're home there against Buffalo, home against Miami. Then we travel to Houston week 12. Week 13, we take on the Philadelphia Eagles, or Philadelphia Eagles, in case I have any of fans watching. New Orleans Saints also home. Who knows if it's going to be Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston. I'm assuming Madden's going to put in Winston. Unless he's hurt, we could see some Taysom Hill action. Then we travel to Miami. Then picks 1 versus pick 2. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, 1 and 2 there. Tom Brady also comes back to town, 1 o'clock against the Bucks. And then to close out the regular season, week 17, we travel to Buffalo. Now, Most of these screens are still the same with the stats and awards, X Factor database. All of this is still the same. Same thing with league transaction. League history, however, has changed in a sense. It's still this screen, but we can now go all the way down to 1966, where Bart Starr was MVP and Tom Landry was the coach of the year. Oh my. And the first official rookie and defensive rookie of the year was Mel Farr and Lem Barney in this. And the first ever players of the year, when was that even in? That was the first ever defensive player of the year was like 1971, according to Madden. I see. Obviously, that's a little bit different. And we could see all the Super Bowl champions. So, like, for example, we go down to 2011, the year my Giants beat the Patriots, as well as 2007, the year my Giants beat the Patriots. The new screen is still basically the same. However, I feel like it did change a little bit. I feel like there was never really a new screen outside of that and all this being together. So that's pretty cool how it has its own screen. And then home is where you can actually get to everything. You can play the preseason game, which we're not going to do in this episode. We're not going to do it until we have a decent slider set out. We do have managed roster, which will be like the lineup, stuff like that. Weekly strategy, which basically you're able to set a game plan. Let's actually just hop into here. You're able to set a game plan to kind of, in a sense, defend in a way. So, like, contain, like, quarterback scramble since, you know, Daniel Jones loves to run. Doesn't really like to pass. Loves to run. I'm kidding. We also have the managed staff and everything like that. Before we hop into that, I do want to quickly take a look at a team such like the Giants. I know this is season stats, not career stats. I do want to look and see if they fixed Saquon Barkley's in here. Did they? Yeah, they did. Okay. On the main screen, it's glitched. Did they also put in faces for guys like Kadarius Toney? No. All right. Hopefully, it automatically updates the rookie faces into the game. I'm not sure if it will. So that's why I also don't want to play any of the games yet, in case they don't update the rookies' faces into the game. Although I do know that the majority of the rookies look the same. Like Zach Wilson, I think looks like Zach Wilson easily looks like himself. I mean, some of the players in this game really look really good. Like I actually haven't seen Kadarius Toney yet, so let's look at Kadarius Toney. Where is he? Yeah, like that doesn't really look like Kadarius Toney, but that's okay. But like, I'm trying to think who's one of the. I'm pretty sure Kenny Golladay really looks like himself. Yeah. Doesn't Daniel Jones? Nah. I know Saquon does. Where's Saquon? Saquon looks insane, yeah. A lot of the players look really good in this game, to say the least, so that's fun. Anyway, now we take a look at managed staff. So as you guys maybe may or may not know, offensive and defensive coordinators are back for the first time since God knows when. And you can view talent trees, upgrade them, fire them, hire them. You probably have to hire new ones in the offseason. And we also get staff points. That is how we are using to like upgrade like tiers and stuff like that and like costs and everything like that. So basically what I decided to do was spend the majority of everything to unlock just the beginning. So as you can see, I have the first two top ones unlocked there, first two top ones unlocked there, first two top ones unlocked there. Except for the player personnel, because I didn't have enough stat points. You only start off with 60. And the way that you get it is by doing all the game day goals and stuff like that. So if we beat the Giants by 17 plus, we get 4. And then if we do everything else, we get 3. And that's how you basically upgrade people and your staff and everything. Then you could hire, get rid, and everything like that. And then you have your regular screen of managed staff, such as team schemes, formation subs, auto subs, as well as editing your appearance. Now here is the main thing that everyone loves, the adjusting lineup screen and our rosters. We'll just hop into here now. So your adjust lineup screen is basically just what you had last year. You know, it's just your typical screen that you had last year is the second screen. And then I do want the depth chart, just your regular depth chart, and I do want to look at the Jets roster, go through it one by one, and figure out how everything is. So obviously, he was a big reason why I chose the Jets, and honestly, up to literally Saturday, when I saw the Jets play. It was going to be the Jaguars as this franchise, honestly, but I do really like the Jets uniforms first off, and I do want to use Zach Wilson more than I want to use Trevor Lawrence. I feel like Zach Wilson, he's struggling camp IRL. It's going to be a nice story to see if he can put something together here in Madden. See if he is our future QB or if we want to move on. So he does stand 6'2", 214, obviously. He's signed to a 4-year deal where he gets paid 8, 8, 8, and 9 up until 2024. He was a second-round pick in this year's, or second overall pick in this year's draft, and he has a pretty good skill set looking at him. Very, very good short accuracy. He's a better deep ball thrower than more of like a medium thrower, which is kind of interesting. Ton of arm power. He can break off sacks, and I do really like his throw on the run. Speed isn't the greatest, but also isn't the worst. His injury also isn't the best, but isn't the worst. So we'll see how Zach Wilson can adjust here into the NFL. We do also have James Morgan, who was a late-round draft pick, wasn't he, last year? He was a fourth-round draft pick, so not really late. Does have 3 years left getting paid. Not a lot. Jets fans hate James Morgan. We'll see how he does. We do also have Mike White, a 4-year man from Western Kentucky, who is good at the short game, awful in everything else. He's only tall, and he can't really get injured. The running game is definitely going to be something we look to upgrade either this season or the offseason, or I don't even know what we do with the run game. But Tevin Coleman comes over on a 1-year deal from San Francisco looking to make a name for himself. Obviously, he had a few good of those years in Atlanta combining with Devonta Freeman. Yeah. He did have 8 touchdowns back in 2016. 2019, he had 6 before suffering that ACL injury, I think, last year in 2020 with the San Francisco 49ers. Is a pretty good receiving back as well, if I remember correctly, right? Let's see. Yeah, he is a pretty good receiving back. He can catch, he can kind of route run. Isn't the best pass blocker, but at 6'1", 210, you don't really expect him to be. Then we have this rookie right here with normal development, Michael Carter. Now, he was a guy who I was very high on in the draft, and the Jets were actually able to take him, I think, relatively with a good selection. Maybe, was he a 3rd round? He's a 4th round pick. So to get Michael Carter, probably like one of the 3rd or 4th best backs in the draft in the 4th round is pretty good in my opinion. Doesn't have the best break tackle. He's not the fastest, but he most likely won't really turn over the ball too much fumbling. He can kind of catch. Isn't the best route runner, but he can really change direction. So if he can make people miss, I think he has a shot to be the back of the future at 5'8", 201. If not, he'll definitely be a good rotational back for this season and probably beyond. Now, Ty Johnson was one of the more well-rounded rushers last season where he carried 54 times for 254 yards and 1 touchdown. Also caught 1 touchdown. The 5'11", 210 guy out of Maryland. He was a 6th round draft pick back in 2019. Got more time, he got a lot of time this year. He's probably I think he is the fastest. He's the fastest back on the roster with 92 speed, and that acceleration and the agility. He should be able to make people miss. Does have relatively good carrying as well. He's not going to be the most insane back, but as a 3rd back should be good. And then our power back steps in, Josh Adams. He's actually a mix of literally everything. He can truck, he can make people miss. Isn't the best at breaking tackles. He can even kind of catch it a little bit. And then we do have LaMichael Pirine, who's actually listed more as a power back than anyone else because I don't know, he's slow, I guess. Anyway, we do have no true fullback on the roster. Might just make a tight end that. We'll see. Now, coming over in free agency, we do have a few of these big signings here. Corey Davis came over in free agency, the 6'3", 209 guy from Western Michigan. He was with Tennessee the first 4 years of his career. He signed the semi-big deal with New York. He caught 65 balls for 984 and 5 touchdowns last season. Hasn't been the best wide receiver throughout his career. Kind of underwhelming for the pick he was at in the 1st round, especially 5th overall. But he does get $15 million in 2022. It is only a 3-year deal, luckily. See if he can, in fact, be that guy that everyone wants him to be. Do also have Jameson Crowder, who had a big year last year, I believe, out of the slot. Maybe not that big, 59, 6, 99, and 6. He most likely will be the slot wideout this year with those 6 touchdowns, as well as 2019 where he had 78 catches, 6 touchdowns. Is a pretty good runner as well. We'll see. We'll see if Jameson Crowder can, continue. He is 28, though. He's on the wrong side of 20. Corey Davis sitting at 26. Also coming over in free agency was Keelan Cole. He's played with Jacksonville for the first 4 years of his career. The Jets did sign him to only a 1-year deal. Basically a prove-it deal. At 6'1", 195, I do think Keelan Cole is going to be more of a rotational piece than a guy who's actually going to step in and get more playing time. I personally prefer the guy who we're about to see over him, and that guy is Elijah Moore. But with those 55 catches, he had career highs in everything except for yards. I mean, he had that 5 touchdowns, 642 yards. It's definitely something to go off of last season, see if maybe he can find a role. He's also probably one of the best route runners on the team. Doesn't have the best hands, but I think he is one of the best route runners. I mean, Jameson Crowder is a pretty good route runner, and then says Corey Davis. We do also have Elijah Moore, obviously the rookie. He was drafted in the 2nd round. Very, very high hopes IRL for Elijah Moore. I'm excited to use him too with that speed and that agility and that excel. He can make people miss when he gets the ball, and that's something I really am going to be looking to do, is get him the ball on things such as screens. I think that's the key to our success this year with Zach Wilson. Trying to get Elijah Moore into space, screen drags, let him do what he can, because he doesn't have the best release, meaning he's not going to get that far downfield, and he can hold on to the football too, as well as make a lot of people miss. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to with Elijah Moore. He actually really, really looks like his person IRL, so that's pretty cool too. Braxton Berrios is a pure slot guy. We'll see if he really has anything on the roster. Like I said, this wide receiving core is going to be competing for a roster spot. I do think the 4 sure wide receivers on the squad is Elijah Moore, Keelan Cole, Crowder, and Davis. All of these guys, except for maybe, like Lawrence Cager, are going to be fighting it out in preseason, so we'll see how everything goes. But Braxton Berrios here week 1, or not week 1, but Braxton Berrios so far has put up 37, 394, and 3 touchdowns last year out of the slot. His 5'9", 186 frame does make him interesting of a guy. He isn't the best route runner as well, but if he can make a name for himself in preseason to show why he should be the fifth guy on the roster, because I think I'm only going to keep 5 or 6 wide receivers. We'll see. We'll see how all the battles go throughout the camp and preseason, see who we want to give up, who we don't, and just figure all that out. One guy who is on the bubble in real life and is on the bubble here is Denzel Mims. Now, he didn't have the most impressive rookie season for being, a 2nd-round pick again? Yeah, he only caught 23 balls for 257 yards, no touchdowns. I mean, he battled injuries too, but what I do like really about Denzel Mims is his 6'3" frame. I mean, already he slots in as tied for the tallest wide receiver at 6'3". That will most likely be on the roster. He has good hands. He can jump. He can, make that grab in traffic occasionally. He can make, that big catch when you need it in the end zone and things like that. But his route running just needs work. I mean, he's also decently fast with 92 speed. It's one of the fastest on the team. See if he can make a name for himself. Also at 6'3" is Josh Malone, who's another guy, 6'3", 280. He is 25 years old, a little bit on the older side. He did catch 4 passes for 16 yards last year, and he isn't the fastest wideout in the world, only 91 speed. Awful route running. Needs work as wide receiver, but if he can make a name for himself in preseason, he may just as well as Vincent Smith. Do also have Jeff Smith and Lawrence Cager. If I had to guess, Cager won't be on the team and Jeff Smith, but like I said, all these late round guys are going to, get a chance to make a name for themselves. But the only 4 safe wide receivers I think are Elijah Moore, Keelan Cole, Jameson Crowder, and Corey Davis. I do also want to adjust the roster a little bit. Like, for example, we don't need an actual long snapper. So I am going to add a few players as well as cut a few players before we head into preseason. I don't know if I'm going to do that on stream or off stream, but coming over in free agency is also Tyler Kroft coming over from Buffalo. He signed a cheap one-year deal. See how Kroft is going to do. He caught 12 passes for 119 yards and 3 touchdowns with Buffalo. He's going to slot in most likely as the number 1. Had that big year in Cincinnati back in 2017, but haven't really been able to adjust off it. We do also have Christopher Herndon IV to compete for that starting tight end spot. Apparently he has no stats, but I know he played last year. It is what it is. Do also have Ryan Griffin, one of the older tight ends on the squad, 9 catches, 86 yards, and no touchdowns back in 2020. But 2 years ago, he had 5 touchdowns, which is career high. The most catches he's had is 50 for 442 and 2. That was back in 2016. At 31, I don't really see him being too much of, anything, but could be a good third. Do also have Trayvon Wesko, who I actually am just going to move to fullback, honestly. He fits in better, I think, at fullback because we do need that position. I don't want to cut Wesko. He's probably one of my more top guys. He also does go up because he's a pretty solid blocker, as well as obviously good hands being a tight end. And he can catch the ball if needed. So we do also have the rookie Kenny Yaboa from Ole Miss. He was undrafted this year, I should say. Is a pretty fast tight end. Can't really do much else. So we'll see. Now, probably one of the most important parts of football, especially if we want Zach Wilson to be successful, is the O-line. Now, the one guy who had an excellent year last season was last year's rookie Mekhi Becton. He's ranked the 11th best left tackle in the NFL. He can move, he can block. He's relatively fast for being God knows how much, 364. Holy crap, he's a big name. You also have Cameron Clark as the backup. Elijah Vera-Tucker also slides in as a rookie. He's most likely going to be the starting left guard. He's ranked already the 23rd best left guard. He is a first-round pick, I believe 14th. Yeah, they moved up to take him. We also do have Connor McDermott. Our center, we might have a little bit of a center competition. Probably not. I think Connor McGovern has it locked up. Our starting O-line is basically locked up. Obviously, Connor McGovern has 2 years left on that big deal. Do also have Dan Feeney as a backup. Pretty sure it's only a 1-year deal, though. Yeah, at 3.5. And then just as depth as Corey Levin and James Murray. See what we can do there. Alex Lewis most likely will slide in as a starting right guard. Isn't the best blocker in the world. Obviously, the inside of O-line is going to be the biggest concern. We do also have Greg Van Rooten. And then, for depth purposes off the edge, Morgan Moses as the starting right tackle. I do really, really like that. He is 6'6", though, at 330. Don't know if he's I don't know if he's the best option there at tackle, but it's better than George Fant or Chuma Adoga. I actually do want to add George Fant to the trade block, and like I said, it's competition on this O-line to see where everyone is going to go. So, could be in, could be out. As we will head to the defensive side of the ball, where John Franklin Myers, I believe he had a relatively good season last year. He had 30 tackles and 3 sacks for Franklin Myers last season. He's looking to slide in as a starting left end. You also have Vinny Curry, who most likely gets some rotational reps, as he did have 3 sacks and 20 tackles. And then Jabari Zuniga, I think, is his name. 7 tackles there for Jabari. The right end spot is really looking for more power rushing, but Carl Lawson is here at 6'2", 261. He's already developed as a speed rusher, so definitely could look to work on his power moves a little bit, but that 54 tackles and 5 sacks should help him out a lot this season. As we do also have Ronald Blair from Appalachian State. Played with San Francisco for the majority of his career. Has racked up in between 2 and 5 sacks his entire career, so solid depth behind Carl Lawson, as well as having Kyle Phillips, who had a big 2019, kind of sat down in 2020, didn't do as good. As we do also have Bryce Huff, linebacker and converted edge. He did have 2 sacks and 20 tackles last season. Now, the big inside D-line. Quinnen Williams, 78 tackles and 7 sacks last season for Quinnen Williams. Every what kind of defense the Jets run, I'm going to make them a 4-3 just because I feel like that is how their scheme is going to fit a lot better. And then I'll work every part of the defense around so that way we can fit the 3-4 scheme, or the 4-3 scheme. So I want to run a 4-3 over a 3-4. Quinnen Williams at 6'3", 303. He might be a little bit undersized to play inside, but he's oversized to play outside. So he will be playing inside in a 4-3 scheme. 79 tackles, 7 sacks back in 2020. See if he can put up those type of numbers on the inside. Not quite sure, but he does have... Sadly, he has star dev, but he is a really, really good tackler, and he is pretty fast for being 303 and can hopefully stay healthy. Coming over in free agency was also the 27-year-old Sheldon Rankins. Now, he had 8 sacks back in 2018, kind of had 2 straight down years. Hasn't been the best pass rusher, but he's a pretty good run stopper. He signed a 2-year relatively cheap deal. See if he can have, a good season as bounce back. And if he doesn't, we do also have a youngster in Folorunso Fatukasi. Now, he did have stats last year. It's not, once again, some of these are not appearing as the game is still in its early stages. We do also have Nathan Shepard at 6'4", 315. He did have 2 sacks last year as well as 26 tackles. So definitely these 4 guys will most likely make an impact right away. Now, we do have rookie Jonathan Marshall out of Arkansas at 6'3", 310. He is 23 years old. Probably more of a practice squad guy being a 6th-round pick, but there is also that option, as well as Denzel Smart, who I do think is a little bit undersized to be playing inside. They have 4 tackles back in 2020, 19 in 2017, his rookie year, and then 12 back in 2019, really the only notable years he's at Tulane. Now, the linebacking core needs some help, and might look for that early here in free agency as he has... It's combined, 2 tackles, I think, or something like that. Or depending on how everything works around. But there definitely needs something to be going on. CJ Mosley opted out last season towards ACL in 2019. So this will be his first of really, official season. But when he's healthy, he's one of the best tacklers in the NFL, and that's going to be something to look forward to. We also do have Blake Cashman, 53 tackles back in 2019, only 8 last year. I think he did have an ACL injury as well. Coming over in free agency, Gerard Davis, 67 tackles, 88 back in 2019, has been one of the best tacklers in the NFL. Hopefully can continue. And then we do also have rookie Hassam Nasirulin, who's very, very undersized. I can't even play the safety role, but they're going to have him as a converted linebacker. I'm fine with doing that. He is a little bit undersized. What 100% needs work. Don't know if it's going to be work this season or next season, but that's the secondary. It's far from good. Lasan Austin as your top guy is not good. 76 tackles. And that's never good if they're even getting that far in the secondary. Bryce Hall also is more of a slot guy. He's going to be the number 2. He got 39 tackles and a pick last year. Might even play the slot. Probably not, actually, being 6'1". We have Javelin Garrity is going to be the slot guy most likely, or Corey Ballantyne. I mean, just the secondary just doesn't seem to be good. We do also have a few rookies back there. Michael Carter, Jason Pinnock, and Braden Eccles. So the best people are going to play. It's just that simple. I mean, that's a free safety spot. We do have LaMarcus Joyner, who came over in free agency. He had 79 tackles with the Raiders last season. Is only on a 1-year deal, though. We do have last year's rookie, Ashton Davis, who might get some time here and there with 47 tackles last year, as well as Saquon Hampton and Bennett Jackson. Marcus May is playing on that franchise tag, so going to be looking to lock him up long-term probably this offseason. 124 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 picks in that Jamal Adams role. He is playing under a franchise tag, going to be looking to sign him long-term, as we do also have Jamin Sherwood backing him up. Sam Ficken will be here, 13 for 15, as well as a block last year, and then Brandon Mann. His rookie year was a pretty good punting year where he downed 19 inside the 20, as well as 5 touchbacks, punting 82 times. Now, we do have 2 first-round picks. Obviously, was in the Jamal Adams trade. Sam Darnold trade, too. We got a second-round pick, as well as a 4th. We also have a 5th, 3 6ths with no 7. So that's a total of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 picks to work with, move everything around. As there will be some cuts I do want to just do now to kind of work the roster around to make some room for some free agent signings. So first, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't think Lawrence Cager is going to get too much time And I don't also relatively want to keep him on the roster. I don't think he's going to fit in much. He's not the best route runner, not the best hands whatsoever. I think it's just best to let Lawrence Cager go right now. That opens up space. We don't need 3 centers to even start. So James Murray can go out of all the centers, and then that's fine there. Tanzel Smart, really don't see him having a future on the team either way right now. And then we do need to add some positions. Corner, we're really stacked on corner. Elijah Campbell I don't think has a future either way. So Elijah Campbell can go. And then to have a few safeties, which I'm fine with keeping for right now to see. I don't think there's that many signings in that sense, as most of these relatively screens are the same with improved team salary, injury report, things like that. So let's quickly take a look here at the free agent side. Mitchell Schwartz as well as David DeCastro is available, so some pretty good depth O-line available. As they do want to look at the QB spots available. Matt Moore's available as a backup. I mean, there are some relatively guys who I wouldn't mind signing. Brian Lewerky is also one of them who the Giants just signed IRL. The running game, I think, also does need work. So some of these people I also, once again, would not mind bringing on. I do have interest in some of them. Wide receiving core, once again, I mean, there's just a lot that needs work. However, one of them is definitely inside guard. And now, as much as David DeCastro, that David DeCastro signing would be nice as well as Mitchell Schwartz, I might go Jason Peters here. Actually, nah. David DeCastro is a guy who I think would make a lot of sense for the Jets. I know they're not targeting him, but just logically, he's one of the better guards in the league. You want to protect Zach Wilson. I mean, J.R. Sweezy is also here, but he's not really going to compete. And then, say at right tackle, you do have Mitchell Schwartz. Tackle is also in need only with Morgan Moses, but I think David DeCastro makes more sense to help the inside of the O-line, which is more of a need than the outside. So David DeCastro can join. As for the defense, I know we do need some help, and I am going to add a bunch of people, but first I do want to just work the schemes around, like I said. I am going to run a 4-3. They run a 4-3 cover. I'm just going to run a base 4-3 to make life easy, because that's much more of a scheme fit anyway. And the defense already a base 4-3 scheme, so that works out perfectly, actually. And I think we have, a 96 team fit anyway. So let me just see if I can work around the defense in any way, shape, or form. Because obviously we did add David DeCastro there. What do they need on this side? They need more run stoppers on this side, which we don't really have. But I'm not really looking too much into that, as we already matched the speed rusher type sides, as well as the defensive scheme there. What are we looking for on this side? Pass coverage guys, yeah. I am going to move Gerard Davis inside to back up C.J. Mosley. I don't know how Nasir Aline doesn't match that scheme at pass coverage, considering he was literally safety, but that's okay. A lot of the corners match, the safeties match, so that's all. Obviously all that is good, so we are going to need a lot. So we did upgrade the O-line the way I wanted to. As for the defense, obviously we do need more of a run-stopping guy there, but I'm not going to go too much out with that. Same thing here. We do need a left outside linebacker. I don't want to go into the year with two not that good outside linebackers, whether or not they see a lot of action. I think Josh Bynes is a pretty good fit here for us. I'm going to see if maybe there is a little bit of a younger guy that we can give a shot to. Nah, I think the best fit here is probably Josh Bynes out of Auburn. Yeah, we'll go Josh Bynes here just to fit that out. Now, I do want to add another middle linebacker just for depth purposes here. And it can be a young guy. It doesn't have to be anything like that. I do want to bring on Mark McLaurin. He's a pass coverage guy. I'll move him to the right outside. Oh, Mark Barron's also available too. Manti Te'o. Let me actually bring on Maurice Alexander too for the outside. That's what, 73 out of 75? Yeah. Then just to help for depth purposes, Dylan Cole. Then I do want to add on one QB. And that QB is honestly going to be Brian Lewerky, I think. Just to give him a shot, see what he can do. I do like his accuracy. I like him in real life. I love that Giants signing that they did. So, do want to do that. Now, I do want to see if there is any other positions I could maybe release to sign others that, might be some more players. Like I said, I don't want to go too much out. I think that since we did just sign that right guard, Greg Van Roten would make sense to keep as a backup right guard. Yeah, so Connor McDermott can go because the best players are going to play. So Greg Van Roten is going to slide in there as the backup left guard. For now, once cuts happen, who knows what's going to happen, but right now, I'd rather Roten over the other guy. And then quickly take a look again at the roster that I accidentally just went out of. Now, we do have 4 QBs, a lot of running backs. I don't think I want to add another wide receiver. I don't want to add another tight end here. We did add a few middle linebackers, that's right. Reese Alexander can slide over to the right side to help with the pass coverage. Dylan Cole is going to stay there. Mark McLaurin Jr. is going to slide over to the right as well. But it makes sense. There's already too much of a competition there. I think I want to add another middle linebacker. Yeah, I'm going to add another middle linebacker to the squad. How about Dante Olsen out of Montana? That's some pretty good tackling, a decent block shot he can hit with good play rec. I actually really, really like that, the fact that he's available. So we did add a few players and literally worked everyone around. So I do want to take a look what the squad looks like now, and then take a look at all the stats of the players that we did just add. So we did add Brian Lewerky, who's most likely going to be the QB3 this preseason, or QB4, 6'3", 213, undrafted out of Michigan State. I know he spent last year with the Patriots, so division rivalry there. We didn't add any wide receivers. And on the O-line, we did add David DeCastro, who has been an All-Pro, a Pro Bowl guard with Pittsburgh for multiple years. Is only on a one-year deal, obviously. At age 31, see how he can, progress, regress, see how he does. And he honestly helps move this inside of the offensive line and helps just protect Zach Wilson, which is obviously something we want to do for the rookie year. We do also have Morgan Moses still on the tackle spot. And then, defensively, we did add Josh Bynes, who will most likely be the starting outside linebacker there. He did have 145 tackles and a sack last year with Cincinnati. Don't know how this guy is still available if he is IRL, but he was available here in Madden. I mean, he fits the scheme. It's a smart move for us in needing linebacker. Like I said, I could have just gone out and literally signed Olivier Vernon, Mitchell Schwartz, and everyone. I want to keep it realistic and keep scheme fits. Bynes fits the scheme. He's a good tackler. I do really, really like that, especially because we didn't have anyone else that could really be like him on the roster. I mean, Gerard Davis probably fits better outside, but I do like him as the number 3. I didn't want him as the starting really outside linebacker. Dylan Cole's also a pretty good signing, I thought, coming over from Houston. He did only have 9 tackles with 48 his rookie year, including 2 picks and a sack. He's a good depth piece, see if he can make the roster somehow. And then Dante Olsen's another depth guy who hasn't really done anything in his career. He was undrafted back in 2020. But I do like his skill set a lot outside of his speed. His speed is not the best, but he's a strong tackler. He can hit. He can relatively recognize plays. He isn't the strongest. He can also jump to knock down passes. So it's something I do really like. And then we fixed around our linebacking core a little bit, so that way rookie Nasir Aline doesn't just start right away. I mean, maybe he can if he does impress me during preseason, he will. But Maurice Alexander too at 6'2", 220, being that outside guy. I do like his skill set a lot with his speed. I mean, he can hit hard. He can relatively cover well, obviously, which is what we need. And he actually is pretty good at recognizing plays. So, I mean, if he can become him, that'd be great. I mean, he's already a better coverage guy and player than Hassam Nasir Deline. I think he needs a little bit more development before starting in right away. I think it'd be stupid if he were to. Then obviously Mark McLaurin is just here. See if he can impress during preseason. Just basically seeing what he can do. We didn't add any corners, so that's that. Didn't add any free safety, so that's that. And that will be all. So that'll be it for the opening to this franchise. Next series episode, we will be playing the Week 1 preseason game as well as Week 2 and 3. I don't know if preseason is going to be like it is IRL, where you have to cut 5 people each week. That's the way I'm going to make it, is that after we play the Giants, I will cut 5 players. Then I'll cut 5 players after that for the next game. Then I'll cut whatever else needs to be cut at Week 4, so that way we are good for Week 1. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in. I look forward to doing this series, especially with the Jets. I think it is a very, very fun and young roster. Obviously, there's question marks still at QB with Zach Wilson being only a rookie. He does have that star better, though. So, like I said, we'll see. This should be a fun series. If you do like these videos, feel free to give it a thumbs up. Now, I know that this was live streamed, however, episodes will be coming out at a later date, also known as scheduled times that I will set. So if you do want to see all this live, just have notifications on for YouTube so you can see the live stream games. Otherwise, you'll have to wait until I publish the episode version of it, or it'll still be the live stream, but at a later date. So just make sure you have post notifications on if you do want to see live. If you do want to wait for a live stream to be out, like I said, you're more than welcome to. And yeah, so I'll see you guys later. Peace.